Why the Buddha said to think about death every day. Everyone tells you not to think about death. Distract yourself, stay positive, keep busy. The Buddha said the opposite. He said, think about it with every single breath. And here is what almost nobody tells you about that instruction. It is not morbid. It is not depressing. The man who sat under that tree 2,500 years ago called this the most liberating practice he ever taught. This is why. The avoidance. The modern world has built an entire architecture to keep death out of sight. Hospitals out at the edge of town, funeral homes that handle everything, a culture that calls anyone who brings up mortality at dinner morbid, depressing, a buzzkill. A Pulitzer Prize-winning book once argued that nearly everything we do, our careers, our purchases, our pursuit of legacy, is an elaborate machinery to avoid one fact: that we are going to die. The denial of death, that book called it. The hidden engine of human life. Buddhism arrived in the West and got swept into that same machinery. Mindfulness became a stress reduction technique. Meditation became a productivity tool. Even most Western Dhamma teachers quietly skip the practice you're about to hear because they know the audience does not want it. But here is the line from Thanissaro Bhikkhu, one of the most careful translators of the Pali Canon working today. The Buddha taught present moment awareness precisely because of death. Read that again. Not in spite of death, because of death. The whole reason the Buddha pointed to this breath, this moment, this body, sitting here right now, was that he understood something about mortality that the modern repackaging of his teachings has forgotten. What he understood is in the suttas, in black and white, and it changes everything. The 5 Daily Recollections, AN 5.57. In the Anguttara Nikaya, in a discourse called the Upajjhatthana Sutta, AN 5.57, the Buddha lays out 5 things he says a person should reflect on often. And here is the first thing to notice. He does not address this teaching to monks. He does not address it to advanced practitioners. He says explicitly, whether one is a woman or a man, lay or ordained, householders, people with jobs, people with families, people with mortgages and grandchildren and Tuesday afternoons, everyone. 5 recollections every day. I am subject to aging. I have not gone beyond aging. I am subject to illness. I have not gone beyond illness. I am subject to death. I have not gone beyond death. I will grow different, separate from all that is dear and appealing to me. I am the owner of my actions. Whatever I do, for good or for evil, to that I will fall heir. And the Buddha gives a reason for each one. The first reflection on aging weakens what he calls a typical youth's intoxication with youth. The second weakens intoxication with health. The third, the one most people flinch from, weakens what he calls a typical living person's intoxication with life. That phrase, intoxication with life, the Buddha is saying that the ordinary state of a human being is to walk around drunk on the assumption that this body, this breath, this Tuesday will continue. And that drunkenness is what makes us spend our lives on things that do not matter. The closing verse of the sutta puts it directly. The one who reflects this way overcomes all intoxication with health, youth, and life, as one who sees renunciation as rest. That last image is worth sitting with. Renunciation as rest, as relief, as the lifting of a burden. This is not a monastic exercise. This is not advanced practice. This is what the Buddha told ordinary people to do every single day, and it gets more demanding. The practice, AN 6.19, AN 6.20. A different sutta, the Maranasati Sutta, AN 6.19, opens with the Buddha asking his monks a simple question. How do you develop mindfulness of death? One monk answers, I think if I had only a day and night left to live, I could practice the Buddha's teachings deeply. That is how I develop mindfulness of death. Another monk says, a day. Another says, the time it takes to eat a meal. Another, the time to swallow 4 mouthfuls of food. Another, 1 mouthful. The intervals get shorter and shorter and shorter still, until one monk speaks, I think, while breathing in and breathing out, I should attend to the Buddha's teachings, because between this in-breath and this out-breath, I might die. The Buddha gives his verdict. Every monk who reflected at the longer intervals, even the one who said a single mouthful of food, the Buddha says they dwell heedlessly. They develop mindfulness of death slowly. Only the monk who said 1 in and out breath, the Buddha says this one dwells heedfully, develops mindfulness of death acutely. And then he says to all of them, we will develop mindfulness of death acutely. Stop and let that land. The Buddha is not asking his community to think about death once a day or once a year or on retreat. He is asking them to hold the awareness. Between this breath and the next, I might die. As a continuous practice, this is not morbid rumination. This is not anxiety. The Buddha was very clear about what this practice does. It gains a footing in the deathless, he says. It has the deathless as its final end. The very next sutta, Aldas AN 6.20, gives the daily form. As evening falls, the monk reflects, many are the possible causes of my death. A snake might bite me. I might stumble and fall. My food might disagree with me. I might die before morning. Then he asks himself, are there any unskillful qualities in me that would obstruct me if I died tonight? If yes, the Buddha says, make effort like a person whose turban or head was on fire. If no, dwell in joy, train day and night. This is not philosophy. This is structured practice with a stopwatch and a checklist. Why it liberates. Now the question is, why? Why would a teacher whose entire path leads to the end of suffering ask his students to spend every breath aware of death? Thanissaro Bhikkhu uses a Pali word for what this practice is meant to produce. Samvega. Samvega is at least 3 things at once. The dismay of seeing how futile ordinary life is when you face it honestly. the chastening recognition of your own complicity in that futility. And this is the part most people miss. An urgent sense that there must be a way out. Samvega is not despair. Despair is closed. Samvega is open. It is the moment a person stops sleepwalking and asks the real question. And the Buddha said Samvega leads to its companion, pasāda, clarity, serene confidence in a path of freedom. Here is a line worth memorizing. Grief is personal. Samvega is impersonal, universal. Grief mourns this loss. Samvega sees that loss is the shape of every life that has ever existed and asks, given that, what should I do with this breath? Modern psychology actually has data on this. There is body of peer-reviewed research, Cozzolino et al. 2004, that distinguishes between two relationships to mortality. Unconscious death anxiety, the kind that runs in the background of avoidant lives, produces measurable defensive patterns, more greed, more tribal thinking, more clinging. Conscious death reflection, vivid, individuated, deliberately faced, produces the opposite, less greed, more intrinsic motivation, more compassion, more generosity. The denial of death poisons, the contemplation of death liberates. This is not mysticism. This is structured human psychology, and the Buddha mapped it 25 centuries before any psychologist did. The Sutta Nipata puts it as imagery, SN 3.8. With the arrow of grief pulled out, griefless, unbound, you are at peace. How the Buddha lived it, DN 16, SN 47.13. There is one more thing to say, because it would be cheap to teach this practice if the teacher had not done it himself. The Buddha was 80 when he died. In the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, DN 16, he describes his own body to Ananda. It is, he says, like an old cart held together with much difficulty. He knew he was dying. He continued teaching anyway. And his last recorded words to the community were not about doctrine. They were instruction. All fabrications are subject to decay. Bring about completion by being heedful. Heedful, the same word from the Death Contemplation Suttas. Right to the last breath, the Buddha was modeling exactly the practice he had taught. He also told them, "Be islands unto yourselves, refugees unto yourselves. Seek no external refuge." And earlier, when his closest disciple, Sariputta, had died and Ananda came to him devastated, the Buddha did not deny the grief. He acknowledged it and then pointed past it. Have I not already taught you that everything dear must grow separate? It is impossible that anything born would not disintegrate. SN 47.13. The community split that day. Monks not yet free from passion wept. Monks who were free said simply, "Fabrications are inconstant. What else is there to expect?" The Buddha described both responses. He condemned neither. Permission. If you are listening to this and you're over 50, over 60, over 70, and the thought of your own death has been pressing on you lately, hear this clearly. You're not morbid, you're not weak, you're not failing at positive thinking. The numbers for older men in particular are staggering, and almost nobody talks honestly about why. The weight you may be carrying is real. It has a shape, and you have been told for most of your life to push it away. The Buddha said the opposite. He said the weight, when held honestly every day, every breath, is the most clarifying thing a human being can carry. Maranasati was not taught to induce depression. It was taught to encourage heedfulness, and what heedfulness produces, in the end, is not despair. It is the beginning of everything that actually matters. Close. The Buddha did not run from death. He sat with it every morning. He sat with it at the end of every day. He sat with it between this breath and the next. And what he found there was not despair. It was the door. 5 recollections. Every day, every breath. If you have been waiting for permission to begin, this is it.